Howdy folks, welcome back to Chopper's Rusty Customs. Another Friday video up, part 2 of my rusting series. I'm going to change the camera angle here in just a few seconds. I'm going to also put the link to the first video in the description of this video. And I'm going to try and keep it going that way through all of the videos. So if you're just starting and you missed one, you can go back, or however you want to do it, or if you saw something you wanted to really learn about, you can go back and see that as well. So we're on to part 2 of the rusting. Today we're going to work on using the dark umber to do a dark rust and build up a little bit of texture with it, so that once we start going with the rest of the steps, it'll make more sense and you'll be able to see it a lot better. So give me a second here and I'll get us all set up to start doing it. Hello, here we go again. Got the camera turned around so we can show you what we're doing. So once again, we're going to go back to the fact that I use dark umber to start off my base for my rust. And I use a sponge. This was used probably 2 or 3 days ago on a build. The only thing I do is just use the corner, and when I'm done with it, that corner, I just cut it off and I have a whole new start to it all. So I don't mix this paint up, I don't dilute it. I just pour it right out of the bottle and get the sponge. I don't wet the sponge, I just use it, have the paint wet it. And these paints that I use, I spend probably 57 cents to $1, and they're just your regular acrylic paints you can buy from Walmart, you can buy from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any hobby store like that you can get these from. Walmart sells them. And I look at it this way, they're 2 ounces for 57 cents, let's say. And then if you're going to airbrush them, you're going to break them down. So you're going to end up with 4 ounces, roughly, for 59 cents. It kind of makes it a lot nicer for me, because I'm kind of a low budget builder. So stop all the chatting and get this going. So I showed you this body last week. It's kind of my, wonder how that's going to work or look body. At any point in time, I can throw it in the purple pond, strip it down, and start all over from Jump Street. So I really like having test bodies laying around. The thing we're going to pay attention to today when we get ready to start doing this is the curvatures of the fenders, the curvatures of the hood, and those are pretty much the areas I'm going to work on today. Try to keep the videos kind of short. But the thing you got to think about, if the car's sitting flat, or if you're going to make it so it's at an angle or whatever, you have to try and look and imagine where the water would run to, or where it would puddle up at, so you get a good look, an idea for rusting it. Now, I'm going to say this straight out. There's no one way, no one right way to rust a model, to add patina to it. Each car is different, each paint's different, each weather area is different. You know, between the north, south, east, or west, the weather changes in all of those areas. So you have to kind of look at it from where you're at and look at how it would set. You know, maybe next time it rains, go out, look at your car and see where the rain puddled or ran off, or that kind of stuff. Next week, I'll be doing a little bit more work on this, giving you a few more tips and ideas. So I'm going to get started on this. So I know that on the front edge of the 56s, most of the cars of this series, they have that roll up onto the roof. And so your edge right here is going to get real rusty from the years of the car being driven down the road and the clear coat and stuff is removed from it. So we're going to start out getting a little bit of burnt umber on the sponge, and then I just start out by going across it until I get to one edge, and then I'll decide, maybe there's a little bit more that's going to run down, maybe it's going to stay, right up against there. And now I did this pattern on there, and I'll let that sort of dry and make that my base. So now we're going to move on to the fenders, and I like to start right at the top of the fender, and then I'll kind of work my way down, and knowing that it's going to puddle there, you're going to end up with paint, with rust, with rust on the edge, there we go, of the fender from the water splashing up off the tire. And then we'll turn and go to the other side. Maybe this side's got a little bit more rust to it, so I'll make it, a little broader of an amount, and then I'll break it over that edge to make it even a little bit more. And then, like we said, we got to go down here and get the fender, because that's going to rust as well, and a little bit on the front behind the bumper where the bumper's going to sit, because that's going to rust. And now that those are my base, this is where I'm going to build everything out with the paint job. So now I'll go back and get some more of the dark umber, and right through here where we've already got our base, we're going to just kind of try and stay in the middle-ish of it, and go back with your sponge and re-hit where you did. You don't want to make it any bigger than what you did the first time, because your base is where you're going to use the dark umber now to build up and make texture. And you got to remember, hit all the spots that you put the dark umber on to start with, so that it will start drying as well, so that you can make up the texture. That's the biggest reason I go with a sponge instead of a brush. I find that the brushes will do good for laying a base coat if you want to, but I find sponges are a little bit easier to work with. You can dab it, you can press down on it. There's a lot of different ways you can do it with the sponge. And we just keep adding to our, where we've already painted with the dark umber. And then you go back over every place. Remember, trying to kind of keep it within your original guidelines. Now, I know you're not going to get it perfect. Not supposed to be. It's rust. Rust is never perfect. And at that point, this is where I would start taking a hair dryer with acrylics. One that has a high-low for the fan, and then medium-high, or low, medium, and high for the heat. We're going to run on a medium heat, low fan, so that we can just go back and forth and dry this. Sorry. Dry this quicker, so we can keep adding layers upon layers upon layers. Now, the amount of layers you do is up to you. Like I said, there's no standard way to do rust. If you get to a point where you're looking at it at your second, maybe third layer, and you're going, wow, there's a lot of texture there, it's getting really deep, whatever your mind and eye see and like, you can stop. Let it dry, and then next week I'll come back and we'll go on to step 3. So I ran a little farther along than I meant to, But this is so much fun, I kind of get lost in it. So until next week, friends, have a good day, and rest in peace.